Today I am going to do a complete current analysis of Indian economy, and not only that, I am going to compare the economic performances of BJP government to that of UPA government's economic performances. Namaste, my name is Surya Bhuchan, and before I start this analysis, I would request you to watch the complete video because incomplete knowledge is going to be of absolute danger to you. And after watching the video, if you find this information useful, then please give this video a thumbs up and share the content with as many people as you can so that this awareness can be spread. Very reputed world economists suggest if you want to do an economic analysis, then consider three factors. The first is GDP, the second is inflation rate, and the third is unemployment rate. However, I have taken into account some additional economic factors too because I wanted to know that whether India is also heading towards an bigger economic crisis such as Sri Lanka. So we will start our analysis from number one, that is GDP. As you can see on your screen, that this graph shows three lines. The saffron color shows the GDP growth rate of India. The red color line indicates the GDP growth rate of China, and the green color indicates the GDP growth rate of Japan. You must be wondering that why I have taken into account three countries. See, economy is a global phenomenon, right? So we need to see that whether any problem persists in the global environment or that problem is prominent only in the local market. That is why I have taken into account the neighboring developed and developing countries. Since the BJP government came into power in 2014, you can see from the graph that the saffron line shoot way ahead of Chinese GDP growth rate, and we continue to perform well till 2017. In 2017, problem struck, our graph started declining till hitting a rock bottom in 2020. In 2020, everybody knows the economy was closed due to COVID lockdown. But what happened after 2017? Was this problem a local Indian problem, or was the whole world suffering due to some global economic slowdown? I was searching for this question and I came across this information. Ayhan Kose, who is the chief economist and director of World Bank, in 2017 stated that the economic year which ended, he was talking about 2016, it was a complete slog year for the complete world because international trade was weak along with weak investments, and other factors too contributed for the slowdown of global economy. So the problem started way back in 2016. Now, searching the same question, I came across a post in Reuters, which is London based news agency. So here Mark Jones has said that traders will be very glad to see that 2018 is ending. Why? Because almost 7 trillion US dollar has been completely wiped off from the stocks of complete world. So definitely one thing is for sure that our economy was not the single one which was suffering, it was the complete world which was performing poor on economic front. Even in this post you can see that Mark Jones has said that 2018 was worst year after the global meltdown of 2008. So definitely people who were saying that Indian government is performing poor were wrong, and the economic problem was persistent on a global scale. Once again, if you look at this graph, after 2020, our GDP growth rate started taking a steep rise and reached an all-time high of 8.9% in 2021. It is a record. And This 8.9% increase is better than what the UPA government did in its tenure, and this economic growth is again better than China. And economists project the GDP growth rate for some of the coming years to remain better than our Chinese counterparts. So definitely here I can say that the BJP government was doing good. This government fell into problem during the COVID pandemic lockdown, but again it has started mounting its economic guns to boost the economy to record high. Next is inflation rate. Now, inflation rate, if you can see towards the left extreme, it represents the inflation rate in the UPA government or the Congress government, and this one here, it represents the inflation rate in BJP government. Everybody knows lower this inflation rate, better is the economy. Now, in Congress era, this inflation rate almost touched 12%, which was into the category of galloping inflation, which is very dangerous for the economy. As soon as the BJP government came into power in 2014, this inflation rate started declining, reaching a bottom in 2017, again in 2019, but in 2020, you can see it again reached a high level, still lower than UPA government, but it was due to COVID pandemic lockdown. And definitely one thing is for sure that BJP government has won here because they have maintained a lower inflation rate as compared to what it was in the UPA era. Do you remember prices of necessary commodities, the food products were very high during the UPA government. Currently, the prices of lentils, rice, wheat, flour, sugar, everything is within the reach of a poor person too. So definitely here also the BJP government has performed very well. If you are doubting this information, just because petrol and diesel prices are very high right now, then I tell you one thing, we don't drink diesel and petrol to survive. We eat food to survive, to be alive, and the prices of food products are really low as compared to what it was way back in the UPA government's tenure. No doubt BJP government has succeeded in keeping the prices of necessary commodities within the reach of a common Indian man. The third factor is unemployment rate. Now, you can see in 2004, when Congress government took power, it started giving more employment, and hence you can see the result is lowering of unemployment rate. In 2008, a global economic meltdown came and the whole world suffered because of this. A lot of people got unemployed, fired from their jobs, not only in India, but on a global level. So definitely you see that this unemployment rate started rising in 2008, for which I am no one to blame the Congress government because it was a global phenomena. The Congress government should not be blamed here. However, you can see that this rate kept on rising till 2013, even after this global meltdown was over. But when in 2014 the BJP government took power, it started giving more and more employment and the unemployment rate started declining, reaching record low in 2019. Then again the COVID-19 struck, and in 2020 you can see the unemployment rate again shoot to a record high at 7.11%. But can we again blame the BJP government for this? Absolutely not. Now, instead of this yearly unemployment rate, I am much worried about monthly unemployment rate, which is present right now in 2022. So let's move to the next analysis. This is monthly unemployment rate of India, and you can see in April 2021 it was 7.9%. However, it shot again to a record high of 11.84% in May 2021, post which it started declining. Now, if you remember, in May 2021, second wave of COVID-19 was on its peak, and so many people in India lost their life. The country was in a state of complete lockdown, and hence this high rate of unemployment is there. But as soon as the economy reopened by July, you can see the unemployment rate started declining. The BJP government has been very aggressive to bring into control this monthly unemployment rate. Recently, our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi has announced a new labor code will be implemented so that he can put confidence into the private sector, and the private sector can provide more employment to the people of India. So definitely this government is taking so many aggressive steps to provide more and more employment, to check unemployment rate and bring it within the control and pre-pandemic level. So I have done analysis of those three factors which the famous economists suggest. However, I wanted to see that whether this Indian economy is heading toward a bigger economic crisis such as right now Sri Lanka is facing. Then I did some more analysis taking into account some more economic factors. Next is debt to GDP ratio. And definitely, if you see this graph, one thing is for sure that the debt to GDP ratio was lower, which is better in Congress era, and it is much higher in BJP era. So I was really worried that why this debt to GDP ratio has hit to a record high of 90%. That is, if our GDP is earning 100 rupees, 90 rupees we owe to our debtors. Then again I searched for some information, and then I came across some of the suggestions of the very renowned economist. They suggest that even if debt is 100% and the majority is internal debt, then you need not worry. But if this debt is lower to 50% and the complete 50% is external debt, then that is a big reason to worry for that country. So then I went on to analyze the external debt to GDP ratio for our economy as well as Sri Lankan economy, because I wanted to see what is the difference and why Sri Lanka went into an economic crisis. So here it is. India and Sri Lanka external debt to GDP ratio. It is very clear from the graph that our external debt is up to a level of 20-21%, and which the BJP government has somehow decreased this external debt. So definitely Sri Lanka owed more money to external countries and we owe less to external people. This is going to benefit the economy of India. When you take debt from external countries, you deal in dollars. For dealing in dollar, you purchase dollar, which costs additional interest. But as in case of India, our government has taken majority of its loan from the Indian market. It has taken the loan in rupee and it will pay in rupee too. So we need not to acquire dollar, and hence we will be saving a lot of money on interest which had to be paid if we had taken loan from the external or foreign countries. This is a smart move taken by the BJP government, and in doing so, this government has assured that it gives a boost to the local economy. Now, moving to the next factor, everyone knows that in 1991, India was struck by the worst economic crisis. The Reserve Bank of India had to airlift its gold reserves to international monetary funds for taking loans. It means that foreign reserves are one crucial indicator of economic health of any country. You can see the growth rate from 2004 till 2013. in the Congress government and the growth rate here in the NDA or the BJP government's era. It is absolutely clear from the graph only that this growth is appreciable in the BJP government's era as compared to Congress government era. Right now, we are sitting at a foreign exchange reserve of 604 million US dollar, and even die-hard government critics like Barkha Dutt, Rajdeep Sardesai, and even Ravish Kumar are saying that keeping so much of reserves does not makes any sense. You have to decimate some of the reserves for stimulating the economy. So definitely if the critics are also accepting that this reserve is too much, then definitely we are very much secure on the economic front. And this is not only the critics, the whole world is saying that the Indian foreign exchange reserve is at its best position in entire economic history. So well done BJP government. In 2017, the Asian Development Bank has said that Sri Lankan economy is a classical example of twin deficit. Its fiscal deficit is negative as well as its current account deficit is also negative, which forced the country to lead towards a economic meltdown. So I wanted to see how well we are performing in the field of fiscal deficit and in the field of current account deficit. So next comes fiscal deficit as percentage of GDP. Again, you can see that Congress government, it made the condition of fiscal deficit worst. It reached to a record low of minus 6.6%, right? And the average value of fiscal deficit, which is shown in red color, is minus 4.81 in Congress government's tenure. Minus 4.8 is almost minus 5%. As soon as the BJP government came into power in 2014, you see that this negative rate started moving towards the zero line, right? It started decreasing, minus 4 to minus 3.4, right? But here the data which goes below my head, that is minus 6.9% in 2021 and 22. Even though such a potential disaster struck the Indian economy, look at the average maintained by the BJP government. It is minus 4.07%, almost a 1% better performance in maintaining fiscal deficit. And our current finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, has said recently that the UPA government maintains such an indiscipline in maintaining the fiscal deficit that she is finding it very difficult in maintaining discipline in the budgetary expenditure. So you can understand how indisciplined the UPA government was. Now, next we will look into the most important factor, that is our current account position, which is situation of our export compared to the situation of our imports. On your screen, you can see current account deficit as percentage of GDP. Now you must be wondering why there is a picture of our former Prime Minister, late Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Way back in 2003, most of the global economists praised the Indian economy and the Indian Prime Minister, late Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, because after the economic crisis of 1991, his government was the one which maintained a current account surplus, a positive, for consecutive 3 years, and the economy was performing superb. But when the Congress government came into power in 2004 and took charge from the BJP government, it immediately started deteriorating the current account deficit, and you can see from positive 1.44 we went to a low of 0.11, and then for entire tenure of Congress government it remained negative, reaching to a history record low in 2012 of minus 5%. again, when BJP government came into power in 2014, this government took this issue seriously and started decreasing this current account deficit. And in 2020 here, our current account is again positive, which is again a all-time high of 1.7. Yes, it is all-time high of 1.7. And again, the global economy went wow because they said that after 17 years of long wait, the Indian current account has performed better and given a surplus or positive value. Here, I want to remind people of India one thing that in 2004, the prices of onions reached 70 rupees. And then Srimati Sonia Gandhi promised the Indian people that she will be serving lunch dinner to the people of India in rupees 10. Right? She manipulated the people so badly, so brutally that people felt betrayed, and in 2014 they kicked out the UPA government. 300 units of free electricity, free water, free medical treatment, and people are falling prey for such an economically detrimental and dangerous free scheme. Because is there anything for free? No, nothing is free. Everything has an associated and related cost. Coming back to the issue, if you ask me honestly that what my verdict is, then I will clearly say that the BJP government has performed and is performing better than the UPA government. 90% of this data are taken from foreign agencies because rumors have been spread that Mr. Modi controls majority of Indian agencies. But to you, the person who says, no, I don't believe the foreign agencies too because Modi is controlling the foreign agencies too. To you, I want to say that the whole world is corrupt but you. If you liked my video, then please subscribe to my channel and please give this video a thumbs up. That is a moral boost to me. And one thing which is very important, please share this video so that this awareness can be spread to the masses. With this word, I will be ending this video. Thank you. Namaste.